Hi, I'm Dean DeMarzo.
And I'm Tori DeMarzo.
And this is Relatively in Tune, where we talk to creative people and the people close to them. My guest today is Darius J. He's a vocalist from Pahokee, Florida, and was recently on season 27 of The Voice, an incredible singer, here with his friend Maya. Why don't the two of you introduce yourselves?
So my name is Darius J. I am a singer-songwriter from Pahokee, Florida. And this is my friend.
Hi, I'm Maya. I am from Orlando, Florida, and which is crazy because we didn't meet in Florida, but the world works in the way it does. I am here and I do some corporate law, and I also am mixing and dabbling into the music business as well.
Oh, nice. What kind of work in the music business?
Well, currently I'm in a mentorship program, and I am working on doing some project management for an executive in the industry.
Nice.
Standing.
That's
Darius,
really cool.
You mentioned the two of you met at an open mic, right?
Yes.
Let me
Well, outside of an open mic.
Oh.
Because there were people inside of it.
We both needed a breather.
Yeah.
Ironically, we bumped into each other. We were like, hey, I'm Maya. And he's like, I'm Darius. And we kind of just hit it off from there.
And that's all she wrote.
And we went to a 3-day festival the next time we saw each other.
What were some things you connected on?
Well, we connected on the fact that our social batteries ran out at the same time. And then after that, we both had this deep love for music and just, living life to the fullest. So we started going to festivals together, and she's been in my life ever since.
And you said you didn't meet in Florida. Where was this open mic?
It was in Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, that's pretty close. We're actually taking a trip to Atlanta and then to Orlando in a few weeks from now.
I'm playing a show in Atlanta.
Yep.
And then she's like, well, we're going to be really close to Disney World, so we should just
do it. Have you ever been?
Yes. Yeah, we went for our honeymoon, and now every year, every 2 years, we try to get down there. But we don't fly, fun fact. So we drive.
Yes.
I don't like to fly.
That's amazing. Disney World for a honeymoon.
Yeah, it was so fun. But all right, so talk to me about The Voice. What made you apply, and what was the whole process like?
So here's the thing. When I was younger, I had these dreams of being the next American Idol. I was addicted to American Idol. I auditioned so many times, and I also auditioned for The Voice so many times, and there was a lot of no's. And eventually I just kind of gave up on that. So I started doing TikToks and gathered a following from TikToks and songwriting. And one day I'm on Instagram after I did a Teddy Swims open verse, and I get a message saying, hey, this is the casting director from The Voice. How would you like to be a part of the show? And I was just like, yeah. So it's like, what? Work hard until what you want wants you. We went through the process. It took a year, of just sending me applications, vetting me, telling me we have to go through this. And one day I got a call while I was in the car saying, congratulations, you made it to the season. So.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how it worked. I think I've maybe applied to be on The Voice once or twice, or a video. What is that? A video audition that you just send in and you never hear anything back. I don't even know if they watch them, to be honest with you. But I think they just do that maybe to give everyone a chance. But then they have the recruiters behind the scenes. I'm not sure how that would work. How many people did get in by video audition by chance? Do you know?
Well, yeah, actually a lot of them. Most of them were there. Audition through the video links. I actually did it a couple of times myself, and like you, I actually got a congratulations email one time, and I didn't hear anything else about it.
Interesting.
But apparently a lot of people do get in from those links.
I would love to know more about the arrangements of the songs you sang on The Voice. And you made such a point of taking a song somewhere entirely different. Right from the beginning with Caught Up, to especially Hey Ya was a whole different song. And that's so cool. What is your process going into that, making those choices?
So for me, one thing that was very intimidating about The Voice is that it was strictly focused on the voice. And I've been a songwriter for so long. So just it kind of took away what I felt was my biggest asset. And I wanted to kind of mesh my songwriting skills with my singing by completely making everything original in me. And everything that I did was collaborations with the band that was there. Caught Up. I went in there and said, hey, I want to do a big band version of Caught Up to pay homage to the original video. And we were playing around with it. Next thing you know, the band started playing like this flamingo type thing. And that became what you saw. And actually, Hey Ya, that was actually done by Postmodern Jukebox. I got the song Hey Ya, and I was like, okay, Hey Ya, in a singing competition. What are we going to do with this? And my original idea was to do an acoustic version of Hey Ya, but I did some searching online and I found this vintage 60s and I didn't even know postmodern jukebox was a thing at the time. I just thought it was like, somebody did a remake and I fell in love with it. So that, I can't take credit for Hey Ya, but I definitely tried to add as much of me to it as possible.
Is it difficult working with a band that you've never really worked with before, like being a songwriter and working independently and then going to this band who's working with everyone and you'll probably have a limited amount of time to really discuss what you want to do? How does that work? Was it difficult?
No, it was surprisingly fun for me. And I think it was fun for the band too, because they kind of got to explore things and let their creative juices flow. So with me, so it was very easy. We would get our songs. I would go into band rehearsal and it was like clockwork. We were creating these beautiful instrumentations and beautiful reimaginings of the songs that we were doing.
How much time do you get to work with them for each song or each week?
Oh, not a lot. I think, the initial rehearsal is like 15, maybe 30 minutes. And then they continue. I think we get like 1, 2, maybe 3 rehearsals with the band. And each time you rehearse with them, they kind of do a different thing. And they're also emailing us of updates of what they've done. So
that's scary to have that much rehearsal time. And like, it's got to be a lot of pressure on you to be like, oh no, here it comes, and we've only rehearsed it a couple times and everyone's watching you, like all the judges, and it must be intimidating.
Yeah, honestly, we rehearsed a lot because, after we would work with the band, they would send us the bones of what we created. So in between the time that we would see them, we would and I don't know about anyone else, but me, I'm a serial rehearsal. Like I love having a schedule. And like for me, it was waking up every day, rehearse, maybe a little too much.
What did you do prior to The Voice? Did you have any full-time job or anything that you had to leave prior to going over and doing The Voice this season?
No, because I'm a customer service representative by day.
Me too. Me too.
Using that voice in another way. But one of the beautiful things that came out of the pandemic was the ability for us to work remotely. And I was actually working remotely the entire time.
Wow.
Yeah, they have videos of me on set, literally right before I walk in with the band, like with my headsets on, talking to customers.
Oh my God. Wow.
Really?
So I was very fortunate.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd be able to do that with my customer service job. It's more like getting yelled at and like, ugh.
Yeah, she would not be in an emotional place to go on stage.
No, it was a lot, trust me, and it got to me eventually because and one of the biggest things was the time difference. I'm on the East Coast and we were on the West Coast, so I would literally have to wake up every morning at 4:45. I would go to my rehearsal spot, rehearse my song from 5 to 6, work from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. in addition to any production requirements that were scheduled in between that time. And then California is like my favorite place in the world. So after that, I wasn't going to sleep. I was like, after a couple of months, it was like, I started to become a brat. It was like a little tired. Like it was a lot.
That's incredible. That's such an that's so much dedication to what you're doing.
I was just really, honestly, when you've, had or gotten as many no's as I have, like, I was just really happy to be there. And I was really fortunate, and I understood how fortunate I was to be able to work remotely. Because some people had to quit their jobs or, they were gigging for full time as a living and couldn't gig. So I didn't want to take that for granted.
And Maya, what was it like seeing him on TV? You go to turn on your TV and there's your best friend on the screen. What was that like?
And it was so cool, and not in like an egotistical way, but I just love seeing him like shine on TV. Like, because when you have like such a good relationship with somebody and then you know what makes their blood pump and you get to see them do it, you just have to cheer them on. I loved it. I loved it. Just seeing him happy was just the best thing ever.
Did you have any like insight of who you thought maybe he was going to choose as a judge? And throughout the whole season, were you surprised at any of the things that happened?
No, I don't think I was surprised that he chose the
No?
original judge. Yeah.
She
And I didn't have any inside scoop.
Yeah,
No, I
she
did not
wouldn't
want
let
to
us
know.
tell her
Nope.
anything.
I can tell there was like, he really wanted Adam, and I think they just had an initial, bond, and definitely I think that it didn't shock me at all.
Yeah. Well, it's funny watching when Kelsey would watch you perform. Her face would light up. Like every time the camera was on her, she's like, dancing around and just, like
Yeah.
the biggest smile on her face. You could tell that she wanted you so bad on
Yeah,
her team.
yeah, definitely. And there's a lot that was said by the coaches that you guys didn't get to see. So yeah, she definitely did. And it felt so bad.
How much do you think they cut out from television?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, specifically, John Legend can talk. Yeah, they would go on for like a good 15, 20 minutes, and you're just standing there trying to process what's going on and what's happening in the moment. And then it's like they'd ask me questions, I'm like, huh?
That's got to be priceless, like information and feedback you're getting from these, literal legends.
Yeah,
Pun not intended.
all pun intended, but
All
yeah,
pun always.
it was really cool. It was really cool just to get the affirmation from people that are doing it that you have something.
How much time did you get with them outside of just the show and performing in front of them? Because they show you going in for rehearsals and talking to your judges, and you are, talking a little bit. But how long were those rehearsals, the one-on-ones, or,
How hands-on.
Insider secret: what you saw was it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
so we got to spend, I think those rehearsals were maybe 30 minutes at the most, and that is really the only time that we got to see them.
Wow. Okay. So they're not really like,
They're they're doing their jobs.
yeah.
Yeah, we had vocal coaches that would work with us more and
Okay.
take the feedback that the coaches would give us, and we would apply that with them.
It was interesting how they would bring on the guest coaches as well, because
Yeah.
who was the one? I think it was Adam. Wait, was it Adam that had
Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson? I didn't
Uh-huh.
even know she was a singer, and then she
Yeah.
shows up, and I'm like, wait, what? Like Kate Hudson?
She actually, I think she performed on The Voice like in a previous season. So
Did she really? Amazing! I missed that, but it's so odd because I would watch all her movies and like I really love her in films, but I never really knew that she was interested in singing, and so I thought it was an interesting choice that he chose to bring her on.
same.
Michael brought Cynthia, which was insane.
Right.
Yeah. Did you get to meet everybody or no?
Not officially, but we saw them. Like I got to see Cynthia Erivo. I got to see, who was the other one? Well, no, I didn't get to see Coco Jones.
Oh, yes. Mhm.
Because they were very adamant about making sure that our reactions were real. So they would like put us in the makeup room when they were getting them over there. But there was this one spot where they would come through, and for whatever reason, like I was always over there. And it's like me and Britton were performing, practicing, and then Adam just walks past us, and then like Cynthia Erivo walks. Like, oh, okay.
Crazy.
That's amazing.
Can you talk a little bit about your costumes? Because I thought what they did was really cool. And like you dyed the beard for all the different episodes. Wow.
Yeah, visually just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the beard thing is something I started doing on TikTok, and
Yeah, that goes way
it's
back.
just-
Yeah.
I saw that years ago.
Yeah, I just love expressing myself with color. I think I get that from my mom. She's always dyeing her. And yeah, when I did my TikToks, people didn't recognize me as like Darius J. They would call me the guy with the blue beard. So when I got on the show, it was like, okay, this is branding. So we're definitely going to do the beard. And the thing is, I hate there's so much maintenance. That's why whenever it broke down with the costumes, they would have us create like wardrobe vision boards and pick whatever we wanted. And for me, I just wanted to be grand. Like I was like, I wanted to give everyone, just like with the band, I wanted to give everyone space to let their creative, juices roam free. So it's like, there's nothing I would say no to. Like, let's just have fun. I know there was a lot of CeeLo, a lot of Met Gala looks in my vision. Like, it's just like, I just really want to, be as grand as possible.
The CeeLo is exactly what came to mind on the one with the diamonds on it, or like the sparkles. It's hard to tell on TV what it exactly was, but it was so cool. And the big hat, that was
the hat. That it was like
so cool.
We ended up having to glue it to my head. It was like,
wait, did they really?
Yeah, it was like glued to like a headband.
That's great.
Oh my god!
I'm all for the cause. I like to become whatever character I feel. Like, I don't like to force my own narrative on a song. Like, I want to engulf myself into whatever narrative and character is already there and become that person to kind of relay the story in my interpretation of it.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that really speaks to the songwriter in you. You're really connecting with the story of it.
Yeah, it's like, for me, it's not just about getting up there and hitting notes. It's about like, I want you guys to understand what this means. And for me, that, requires an understanding of what it means on my end. So I would always research what the artist was thinking when they wrote the song, like what is the actual meaning of it. And okay, so here's what we're going to do.
Maya, I want to hear more on the music business, where you're at, where you want to be with it, because Tori is someone who also wants to break into the whole, 90% of the music business is people who are not on screen, you're not hearing their voice, but they are making everything happen. And those jobs are incredible and so important. And
but
Tori,
apparently really hard to find.
They're hard to find. And part of the reason we started this podcast was to also talk to people in the music industry and learn more about that side of things. I would love to hear more about that.
Well, I don't have all the answers. That's the gag.
No one does.
But what I do know is that a lot of it, in my experience, is location and connections. Mm-hmm. And so it actually all really happened for me this year. In my professional role, I'm a paralegal. And so I've always been in like the supportive type role, right? And so as I started dipping into the music industry and just being around more creative people, I wanted to find a way to do what I do professionally, but in a field that I love, which would be entertainment. And so here in Atlanta, the biggest pro is that a lot of people are here. And also there's a lot of opportunities and there's a lot of like events. And so for me, my advice would be to get foot to pavement. That's the biggest thing that's given me the biggest reward, because while we live in a virtual world and you can make connections that way, I think the ones that stick at least the quickest are the ones that you get in person. And you can also have that like organic chemistry and, really feel out the people that you would be working with. And I guess my second thing would be meet everyone collegially, right? So you don't want to burn bridges, because the same person you meet at a show, like Darius, could be, take off in the next year. And you'd be like, who would have thought, So I would say, as far as like getting your foot in the door or meeting the people that you really want to work with, do your due diligence online and then like get outside. Because I feel like, especially post-COVID, everyone stays inside. Everybody kind of has their little safety net being home. But I think that when you put foot to pavement and you make those connections and you start getting around the people, that's when the world starts to put things in your hand and things start to fall into place. So that's how I would say, at least to get things like going.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I've done a lot of like online reach to a lot of people, but I think I keep telling Dean it's important. I think that we go out and try to force ourselves to get to the shows and try to force ourselves to like get in front of these people.
We as musicians, we see so many faces, we see so many names, especially online. You scroll past a billion names every day.
Yeah.
It's the person in front of you who you can't ignore. You can't.
And it builds trust when you see them in their environment and in their element all the time, like your friend who was working, because you'll have people that probably have the opportunity of your dreams pass you all the time, but they're not going to be able to trust you until they see that you're working hard as well and you're really committed. So I think that's a big piece of it too.
Yeah, I think that that's important. If you don't show that you're willing to show up to anything,
Right.
It's like,
anyone can like a post on Instagram.
Right. Yeah.
And not every opportunity is actually an opportunity. So make sure you can vet those relationships really well.
Yes.
Do you have a story about that?
There's a story.
We just recently, I got contacted by somebody with an agency for acting and voiceovers, and it was just, he gave us this really strong pitch, and I'm in sales. So you know how it is. Immediately when you're being sold, and it's just like, I don't mind being sold, but I don't try to make it seem like I don't know what's going on.
Oh.
And, we were all in, and then we started to ask questions because paralegal salesperson, and he got really upset with us, and we haven't heard back from him just from asking questions. So it's like,
wow.
A 2-day interview process, mind you. So the first day he was interviewed by this person, and the second day the interviewer asked him to have me on the call with him as his support. And so we're both sitting there like, and we ended up, getting off the call and talking and gave him some follow-up questions, and he was not happy. So just because things look shiny on the outside, it doesn't mean, all that glitters is not gold.
Yeah, that's a major red flag if you can't ask questions.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
even if you are trying to sell something, you should be able to answer the questions.
Yeah.
I work in customer service sales too, and I'm in insurance. And so like if somebody asks, hey, why is this the way it is? You have to answer. Otherwise they're going to think that you're weird and go somewhere else.
He immediately turned into somebody different. It was like, whoa. Like he was offended. I was like, yeah, you're not getting my money.
Not at all. Well, speaking of funny stories, do you guys have any interesting funny stories about your friendship?
I don't know.
Our whole friendship is a funny story.
Interesting funny story.
Even getting on this call is a funny story. Sometimes it's, both two brain cells trying to, make it work, and sometimes it's one and sharing it,
2 brain cells is generous.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know, when we first, it's just been kind of us navigating life together ever since we met, like starting with the festival. And like we came to the festival, met so many amazing artists, and we came dressed up so beautiful and left the festival looking horrible and muddy. We learned from that. The next day we came dressed appropriately, and it's kind of, that's like the energy behind our entire friendship. It's just like we're just learning as we go and making things up and holding each other accountable and being super objective with each other as well.
Absolutely. That's a big part of it. I don't think there are many people that I could like be my full 100% self, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, and just lay it on him. And then he'll be like, all right, I got it. And he does the same thing to me. We ebb and flow that way. And it's very, very fun because I can be just raw and candid, and not a lot of people can take that. And he takes it and he gives it right back. And we have dark humor in common. Like, I don't know. This is a
lot of talks about poop. She's like,
I'm a mom, okay?
Okay,
I'm a mom. I've dealt with everything. I'm not shy with anything. But why? Why does it have to be something that we're like weirded out about? Like everybody has to do it. So whatever.
It's true.
I know. Well, anyway, I was going to say though, it's really hard to find a friend as an adult. I feel like in your adult life, like to be able to find somebody that you feel comfortable with and to just open up and express yourself and not feel judged is really hard nowadays. I struggle with it because I work remote too, and it's hard. Like we met in college, And that's great. But what do you do after that,
Right. We both work from home, so we don't have that like at work network of built-in friends there,
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you have is special.
Well, we met outside, both needing space from people, and then we found our people.
All the people away from people.
Yeah, and then we went to a festival with a lot of people, but still found our way away from the people to enjoy all the people.
That's so true. I would be out there with you. Like I don't know. I can't stand being in between a lot of people because I'm very short.
Oh.
So like I'm the one who's like butts in front of my face at all time, and then it's like loud, and you're like ah. So I will often go outside and need to just like breathe and get away from things.
I want to know about your music outside of and before The Voice, and now after The Voice. You've been doing these open verse challenges on TikTok, writing just a ton, so prolifically. And you released a single last year, Love Me Harder.
It's so crazy because like I was writing all the time before, like you said, with the open verses, and I had a bunch of music that I haven't released. And humbly speaking, I just felt like I needed a bigger platform. Like, I feel horrible saying that because it's like...
No, that's the reality of being a creator now.
I just feel like I deserved a bigger platform. And now that I got that, it's just, I don't know. I'll be honest, like I haven't really gotten my bearings from being back from the show. And I think the main thing for me is, I was in California, which is my favorite place in the world. And it's just like, being back from California is just like a, wake up call that I didn't want. So it's very hard. And just the process of watching your art and watching people's perception of your art, and like, it's so draining. So I commend anybody that can do this, but, I'm definitely going to get back in this studio and try to release some more music, because honestly, once my tenure with The Voice ended, there was like this really big sigh of relief.
Well, for one, you can get back to songwriting. You were saying you have to sing other people's songs on The Voice. Now you can reconnect with that part of you.
Yeah, I can reconnect with, and it's like, I don't know, it's almost weird because it just opened up part of me that I forgot was there, and it's like, I don't know, do I want to write songs or do I, want to go with Broadway, or do I want to perform?
Funny you say that, because watching you on The Voice, that was the first thing that came to my head, was that like he would do awesome on Broadway. And we live in New York, we see Broadway shows all the time, and immediately that is the first thing that came to me. So it's interesting that you say that, because I think you'd be really, really good at it.
I've always had like this interest in Broadway ever since I was a kid. Like I did a couple of plays. It was always something that I wish I had explored more. And I didn't realize that what I was doing was like Broadway. I thought everyone, but yeah, I would love to, because The Voice showed me that I really loved being a part of a production. I love the fellowship that came with it. I love being behind the scenes. I love that part. That was my favorite part. And I think that comes with the Broadway. So, and I think it's just like you guys were saying with the jobs that are behind the scenes. It's just, for me, it's hard to figure out where you start.
So here's my totally wild, out of nowhere thought. On The Voice, you got to have this experience interpreting these songs in a new way. You have this little inkling of like, what about Broadway? I'm immediately thinking of Amanda Barese, who we had on the show a few
Third
weeks ago.
Reprise, yep.
She sang with this band, Third Reprise, who they did this crazy funk cover of Defying Gravity. And that was the thing that got her ultimately on American Idol. What if you tried on TikTok mixing in some interpretations of songs like you did on The Voice, but also Broadway songs? Take them somewhere else. Take something that's popular now, or take something you really love and connect with, and take it somewhere that's really you.
Or make a song that you like into like a Broadway song, because I've seen people do that too, and it gets a lot of recognition. And then, we literally just interviewed the longest running Fiyero on Broadway. He started by actually in Florida,
Disney World,
working at Disney in like the acts there. So he was in what is that called? The barbershop. Yes, yeah,
of Liberty.
And then he. Did he just immediately audition for?
He auditioned for the tour.
The tour, got on the tour. Of course, it was during COVID, and then went to Broadway. So it could be an interesting stepping stone for you in that way too, because you're already in the area where there's a ton of performances and opportunities like that.
But you have this platform now. You have people associating you as, oh, that's the guy who did that awesome cover of Hey Ya, that amazing cover of Caught Up.
With also like the costumes and the theatrical aspect of it too. Like for someone just watching as a fan and immediately thought of Broadway, I'm sure people who produce those are also thinking like way beyond my general perspective.
Could be a thing to lean into.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hopefully.
I'm sure.
So you said you have a lot of songs written that you haven't released yet?
I have a lot of songs, and this is why I said it's kind of like a catch-22 that I waited so long, because now you have a platform, but it's like, I don't know, I don't feel like the person that I was when I did that, It doesn't feel like, even Love Me Harder, I love that song, but it just, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like me anymore.
Well, it shouldn't, because you went through this big major change.
And even before that, like TikTok, I think TikTok was the really big major change for me, because that is where I got to really understand who I was as an artist and how I wanted to present to the world. And I just feel like a lot of the music that I have already doesn't really, say that. So it's like, I'm going to release it because they are my babies, but, and then on top, you add that, the voice on top of that, which was this other experience that showed me that I like doing these things. Yeah, I'm just in this period of figuring things out.
I think that is so valid. And I can really relate to this as someone who has changed course career-wise so many times. I was 15 years into making, releasing music on YouTube and stuff when I decided to completely change course and go from, I was doing like metal guitar covers of video game songs, and now I'm writing my own like pop songs, and found a whole new audience with that. And there was a growing period. There was a period of like change and figuring out like, what the heck am I doing? And now I'm so happy that I did that, because of finding what I wanted to do really at its core was what ultimately helped me go full time. It took 20 years. It'd take a while.
Anything you want to share about The Voice that we haven't asked?
What about The Voice? I mean, you know what the best part about The Voice for me was? Like, just the fellowship. Being there with these people who, that were experiencing the same thing. We were all in our own little bubble. And it was just so fun, just being around them. And I genuinely miss a lot of them. And you made friends that I'm going to have for life as well. So it's like, that was pretty awesome.
We have Lily Doll coming on.
Aww.
Yeah. And then we have Dan Kiernan.
Me and Dan. Lily Doll was really cool. She's just a great spirit. And me and Dan actually didn't connect until right before his knockout with Tanika. And I wish that we had, because he is amazing, and we talk and text each other all the time now. So yeah.
Yeah. Is he in New York? I feel like he said he was in New York.
Yeah, he's in New York.
Yeah, you should connect with him. Come up, see a Broadway show, go talk to people. I think that would be a great connection.
Call us, we'll hang out.
Yeah, call us, we'll come down.
Yeah, we definitely got to link when you guys come to Atlanta. Like for me, another big thing that happened was like I was working the entire time I was out there, and when I got back, I ended up losing my job. So it was during a period where they weren't really hiring for my type of work. During the winter season, I don't know if you know, like our you can never find a job. So it's like, I took a couple steps back because, unfortunately I'm not someone who has a whole bunch of, money saved up or anything like that. My goal was to already be in California. So that kind of set me back a lot. So I didn't get to travel as much. I didn't get to, but I do plan on going to see Dan. Absolutely.
Yeah, you should definitely come. It'll be great.
Thank you so much to both of you for joining us. Thank you to Darius and Maya. Check out Darius J's music everywhere, and especially Love Me Harder. I really enjoyed that track. I like that one a lot.
Thank you. That's my baby.
Thanks to everyone for listening. If you want to hear more, you can find us at Relatively In Tune Pod. Rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, and we'll see you next time. I've been Dean DeMarzo.
And I'm Tori DeMarzo.
And thank you for listening.